Okay, it's 6:45 here in Michigan, and I'm just getting started. The real show starts in 15 minutes, but I'm logging on early to just give everybody a preview who wishes just to see how I get things going, and perhaps I can also contribute to some chat. And hello, Neil. I see that you have wished me good morning. Thank you for logging in on Central Time. I tell you what, this is not a good time for me. I always sleep later than this. You know, astronomers stay up late. They don't get up early. But I had my coffee, and it's kicking in. So I might be speaking a little bit too fast here. But anyhow, thank you everybody for joining. And we'll just have a nice slow start here for 15 minutes. I always schedule extra time because Murphy's Law happens, and crap hits the fan. But no, everything's going great here. And what you're seeing now is a live GOES satellite shot of the weather in the west, and you can see that it is nice and clear on the southern border. This is the southern border. There's Mexico below. There's Texas and the Rio Grande. The Rio Grande goes backwards up this way, and then up that dark snake. That's interesting that you can see the Rio Grande Valley going all the way up there. But the observatory that we're using for taking pictures is right there near the boot heel of New Mexico. So that's where we're using the telescope, although I'm located in Michigan. So the telescope is out there in the desert, and so the miracle of technology allows us to do things remote control. And but I want to also point out, this is just the most awesome satellite view for clouds. I highly recommend folks to take a look at it. And they overlay the clouds coming in over a picture of the nighttime light pollution. And you can see Phoenix, Nasty, Tucson, and then some of the border towns. And that's El Paso right there. And then you see all this popcorn over here, all these little towns over there. What are all these little towns over there in West Texas in the corner of New Mexico? They ain't towns. They're oil rigs. This is the Permian Basin. Lots of our oil comes from there. And so, and also you can see a lot down there. So it's fascinating to see this. And as an astronomer, this is not fascinating. This is kind of sad that we have so much light pollution coming from that area that never even would have thought so. But anyhow, this shows you that we're nice and clear. And so I can minimize that and show you the screen for the telescope. Things are a little bit slow. I click and a little bit slow. Anyhow, this is the telescope. And you can see that we have a picture of the night sky here. It's a planetarium program that shows the night sky as it exists right now out there in the desert, and all the constellations are connected. And we are pointed at Capella right there. And so I was focusing, and so we'll just do a test shot. So over on the camera software, which is over here, it's a Canon camera, and that was an earlier picture I took of Capella, which is a very nice bright star, and we want to focus on a nice bright star. So we hit 2-second exposure. Now, focusing is, of course, the most exciting thing I'm going to show you today. No, I'm just joking. But no, we got perfect focus, excellent focus, and focus changes if temperature changes. And at dawn, the temperature is not going down much anymore, so the focus is going to be staying just perfect for us. And so what we do is use this program here to control the telescope, and that other program to control the camera. Simple as that. So there's just two programs we switch between, and I can show you the pictures on one and show you what the telescope is pointing at on the other. And so I would encourage people to, as you're logging in, if you can sign in to YouTube. If you have a sign in, then you can contribute to the chat. And so you can send questions, or you can respond to the other commenters, or send me something. I want you to go ahead and do that because it makes it more interesting. I will look over occasionally. I've got another screen over here, and I'm looking to see the comments and see what's going on there, and I will try to address your questions, because We have a focus topic today, which is just comets. And so we're just going to be talking about comets, and we're only going for about half an hour. Usually my shows, as you know, are an hour, hour and a half, because I'll do bigger things. But tonight, or this morning, we're just doing comets. And so it's going to be a short show. And I did some test pictures so far, so everything is working great out there. And and I'll talk about this, about what's happening, but so I think it's probably better to talk about the observatory. And so, as you know, that this is out in the desert, and I want to go back. Oh, this is my the plugs. I have remote control electrical plugs. So all the different things I have to turn on, I just click. So this is I'm looking in Firefox here in my web browser, and this is my on-off switches. So when I get up in the morning or at night when I want to turn on the telescope, I just hit things on or off. And if things go wrong, the universal fix for anything in life is to reboot. I think they do that to human hearts nowadays too. So I'll hit reboot. So that just shows you how we turn things on when I got here in the morning. But want to go back to the telescope and to show you that we are located here in the boot heel, and it is nice and dark there in the observatory, and this spot is called Dark Sky, New Mexico, and it's a telescope ranch, and you can see it on Google Earth. And so why don't we just do that? What the heck? We'll just say Animas, New Mexico. Animas, New Mexico is the spot. So now we are zooming in. So I'll go back further in space. So there is Baja. Oh, now we're way out, and we'll just go further and further in just to show you exactly what this spot looks like. It's a telescope ranch, and instead of cattle, they have cattle and longhorn steers that are nearby the observatory. They're kind of nasty too. I got chased by one, and so you got to watch out. They have aggressive longhorns near the observatory, and snakes as well. There's poisonous snakes. So as we zoom in, you can see that there's mountains around, but also desert. It is just scrub desert. It's called the Chihuahuan Desert. And the circular green things are irrigation areas where alfalfa and other crops are grown. And that's the town of Animas right there. And if we move over, we can see where the observatory is. There is the Mercantile, which is the store in town that contains anything you want. You can get anything from castration tools to USB cables at the Mercantile. And if we just head out of town here towards the west, just a few miles, we can go through a lava field. It's the coolest thing. There's pumice stones, tons of pumice stones all around there where a volcano exploded and blasted rock into the sky, liquid rocks into the sky way back. And so that's really cool. So if you, right here on Google Earth and satellite view, it's marked Dark Sky, New Mexico. And as we zoom in, we're zooming in here, and it's right off Highway 9. You can start to see that there's a bunch of white dots there. And as we zoom in, you can see that each one of these white squares is an observatory building. And we zoom in, and you can do this yourself. Each of these is an observatory that contains 1, 2, 3, 9 telescopes, and they all have the roll-off roofs. Sorry to keep readjusting there. We're having a lag here out in the desert, probably about a 1 second lag. But anyhow, I wanted to zoom in on the big building, because the big building right here is my building, and I'm located at the bottom right-hand corner. And and I've been there since 2013. And I believe I have 4 neighboring telescopes in the building with me. One thing that's cool is look over here. See that greenish stuff, that green circle there, what is that? It's an open water tank. Highly unusual out there in the desert, but it is a water tank. Unlike most spots in the desert, there is a lot of water here in this valley, and so there is good water and is pumped right here into that tank, and there is a little bit of a lake nearby so the cows can drink. And so I just thought I would give you that, and let's go back to regular view, and just to show you as we zoom out where the heck we are. And Bob asks, how often do you go there physically? I usually go once every 6 months because things break and you gotta fix them. And dust is bad out there. Dust, as you might imagine, in the desert is bad. So due to COVID, I have not been able to get out there. And I was there just as COVID was hitting back in March of 2020, a year and a half ago, getting to be almost 2 years ago. And so I was able to do some work there, but I haven't been able to get back for almost 2 years. So my plan is to get back out there in December and do some dusting, because that telescope is filthy. The mirror is filthy. The telescope itself is dirty, and dust gets in the plugs, and it's just a real issue. So I need to get out there. We have big CO2 tanks with compressed air, compressed CO2, and we can blast off the dust. But I just need to take some stuff apart and clean it out and put it back together, because it's really been too long since I've been out. So, but thanks for that question. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to be out there. It's kind of a sensory deprivation area, because you go out and it's quiet. It's very, very quiet, and it's wide open. There's not a lot of trees or things, so you have this sense of wide open space. It's very quiet. A lot of times there's no wind, and so there's really not a lot of, and not much smell. Unless there's cows close by. So it's really, I call it a sensory deprivation area, and it's just interesting and fun to get out there because it's so different from Michigan. And Bob asked the URL for the clouds. The URL is, you just Google GOES East, and then once you go to GOES, the GOES satellite, it'll say, hey, what part of the United States do you want to see? And it actually showed the map of the United States. And if you want to hit upper Midwest or the Great Lakes area, you can click on that. But this is the Southern Rockies, and I hit that. So this is the GOES satellite, and I'm looking at, and there's various wavelengths, that you can see, infrared or ultraviolet. I just choose the first one, and the first one's called GeoColor, and it has nice colorations, and and you can just practice with it, play with it. But this is the best satellite I've found, just to see what's going on with the clouds right now, and what's going to go on in my area in the next hour or 2 or 3. So they're wonderful for predicting clouds. And another thing is, what's happening in just a couple years is the total solar eclipse. The total solar eclipse just happens to be running right through right here, right there, and then cruising up through Illinois and through Ohio and then into Canada. And it's in April of 2024. And the reason I'm talking about total solar eclipses, I hope to be down in this area where it is nice and deserty and dry and hopefully not many clouds in April. I will be using this website right here to figure out where to go, because this is really good to see, hey, are the clouds coming in, or when and where? And so if you want a real-time view of what's going on, so if you need to reposition along that line or where that totality is, this is a very good website for that. And like I said, I hope to be somewhere down here in West Texas where it is nice and dark and hopefully clear, because it's a wonderful opportunity, and I highly recommend. If you have not seen a total solar eclipse, please go. Okay, so Paul says the audio is a little low, So thank you, Paul, and I will turn up the audio a little bit. There we go. I'm turning it up, so I'm almost going to get up to the yellow region. Okay, but thank you, Paul, and I like to hear these technical issues because we want to make sure you can hear me. So now it is 7 o'clock in the east, and most everybody has probably joined in. Thank you for joining me. And this is Comets. We are in a comet storm right now. It is really exciting for people like me who love comets to see comets. And one thing that is amazing about comets is they move, they change. Us astronomers, we study the sky, we study the universe, and for the most part, things don't change. If you're looking through a telescope, things look the same all the time. You look at the Andromeda Galaxy now, it looks the same as it when I first saw it 40 years ago. Okay, nothing changes. But you know what? With comets, they change. So comets are dirty snowballs. They are balls of ice and dust and a little bit of organic matter, and they whip through space, and they come around the sun because they are approaching the gravity of the sun. The sun is a huge vacuum, and it's pulling like a magnetism objects from way out, and comets come from a lot from the Oort cloud way out. There's a whole bunch of these little pieces of dirty snowballs, and they get sucked in by the sun, and these balls of ice come whipping around the sun because of the gravity, and they get whipping right back out. And so comets change, and that's why I just love them. And like I believe David Levy has said, comets are like cats. They have tails, and they're hard to predict. So that's why another reason I love comets is because you don't know if they're going to be good or bad. And a lot of times they're a fizzle. And when I was a kid, there was Comet Kahutek, and NASA said it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be the best comet of the year, the best comet of the century. Well, it fizzled. It was a pretty bad comet. In fact, I don't think I ever saw it myself. So that was really a downer. So anyhow, we are looking here at a live shot from the satellite to see the clouds, and there's no clouds at the observatory. And the observatory where we're operating is right here in the boot heel of New Mexico on the Chihuahuan Desert. And I'm clicking right here. I'm not going to click, but I'll show you. That's where the telescope is located at Dark Sky, New Mexico. And if you want more background on me or the observatory or how did we come to this spot, you can click on any one of my other videos, and I have a 2-minute propaganda video I always start with at my presentations, and you can click on any of them and see that video, and you can see what, where, why, who, how, and all that stuff. But the good news is there's no clouds here in the desert Southwest, so that is fantastic. So now we are ready to begin. This is a video of, this is actually a live shot of the telescope's control computer. This is the sky in the desert, and the yellow points to where we want to go, and the green is where we actually are. So we hit go to, and we are on Capella, a bright star. This is a star that we're taking a picture of, Capella, and we are ready to go to our first comet, which is 67P. So I will hit show on sky chart. Oh, that was the yellow. The yellow is the comet. Oh, we happen to be starting right close to where we want to go. So we hit go to, and now the telescope went to the comet. And the cool thing about this plane wave telescope is it tracks the comet. So we're going to be going towards 67P. And so, or on my program here, and we're going to see 5 comets. This is the first of 5. We're going to start a 2-minute exposure. All right, so that's a little boring. So what are we going to do during the 2 minutes? We're going to talk to you about comets. And so we're going to talk to you about these comets. And remember, they're dirty snowballs. The great comets, like some of these here, have 2 tails. This is Hale-Bopp, the best comet in the last 30 years. Not the best comet I've ever seen, but this is the best, definitely the one in the last 30, 40 years. And it had 2 tails, the ion blue tail and the dust white tail. The dust is the big stuff, the chunks and the particles. And the blue stuff is really lightweight things, subatomic particles and very small things. are in the blue. I'm not going to get any more detail than that. So this was in 96. It was spectacular. It was amazing. And it was unpredicted. That's what's weird about comets. Came 1 year later, Yakutaki, and it was in 97. Long straight tail. Really amazing. And this is another comet we just had last summer. Pan-STARRS. Last summer had a double tail, and it was fantastic. And I took this picture from up north, way up north in northern Michigan, and so that was fantastic. But right now, we are taking a shot of Comet 29P, and it was the 29th comet discovered, and P means periodic. It means it comes around in a elliptical circle. And it's called Schwarzmann-Wachmann, for the two German astronomers who discovered it. And it's in a big circular orbit, and it's a huge comet. I think it's like 40 miles in diameter. And it's out there by Jupiter, and it goes round and round. And it takes probably 16 years, something like that, to go around. And see, where our orbit is over here, and the sun's in the middle. So it's way out there. So how could we see it? It's so far away. Well, it's because it's a huge object, and it has an explosive personality, and so it occasionally it blows up. And so we should really not be able to get a picture. Normally, we should not be able to get a picture of this comet, but because it's having this explosions, these cryovolcanoes are blasting out particles right now, we're able to get a decent picture of it. So let's see what kind of picture we got here. I'm going to pull this down. All right, and here is a picture of it right now. We just took this as a 2-minute exposure, and we have a little bit of the red coloring because we're lower in the sky, and my camera is very sensitive to the red. We got a red star there, but this is the comet there, and I will try to emphasize it just a bit. It's just this fuzz ball, but you can see it has this nucleus right in the middle. So, and like I said, the nucleus was like 40 miles. So this is kind of like a planet. It's a planet whipping around about the same distance out as Jupiter, but it does have these volcanoes that are spraying out particles, and it's in a nice fuzz ball around it. And this fuzz ball wasn't there a few months ago. And in fact, you couldn't even see the nucleus. We would not be able to take a picture of this if it weren't for its explosive nature, which is happening right now. So this is 29P Schwarzmann-Wachmann, and I love saying those German names. But about a few years ago, these same astronomers, they had discovered another comet, which was 73P, and I got a video of it going by back in 2006. So this is another comet by those two astronomers discovering, and it was going past a star in Lyra. And so there is like a little Q-tip, right? Looks like a little Q-tip whipping through space. So that was the other comet by these two German, I believe they're German astronomers out of Hamburg Observatory or something like that. So that is comet number 2, Schwarzmann-Wachmann. That's number 1. But now we're going for number 2, and this one's called 4P, or Faye, F-A-Y-E. And so what I have to do to be able to show you a comet Faye is I have already downloaded its coordinates. And so I go over here, and I can paste in its coordinates right there. And I'll show on the sky chart. It's over there near Gemini. This is Gemini, the twins, Calyx, Castor, and Pollux. And so it's in Gemini area. And so we're going to go to that. And this is 4P Faye. And 4P means it was the 4th comet discovered. So let's go up here. Let's take a look at Faye. It's the 4th comet discovered, 4P. Can anybody guess what 1P is? What would the first comet discovered? Halley's Comet is the answer. And Bob had a question, how big was the coma on that previous 29P Schwarzmann-Wachmann? The cloud is hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of miles in diameter, that cloud. But 4P is the different story. This is a small comet. And it's only 2 miles in diameter, which is this is more of a normal. That last one was wacko. Okay, I think they called it a centaur. A centaur. It's almost like almost like a protoplanet. But anyhow, now we're getting towards the classic comet. It whips around the sun, as you can see here. It's got an orbit of about 7 years. It goes all the way out to Jupiter, and then it gets sucked in by the sun, whips around the sun, and it happened to be pretty close to Earth, and it goes back around. So, and I believe it's going around this direction. And so it is pretty close to us, pretty close to the Earth. And but it's a small comet, so the only way we're going to see it is because it's close to us. And that's great. It is close to us. And it was discovered in 1843 by a French astronomer named Faye. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. If it's French, it's a different pronunciation. But anyhow, it's a nice comet. It's, like I said, 2 miles in diameter. And comets don't have tails until they get close to the sun. Then they grow a tail because the sun is blasting back those particles and warming them up, so they come off the surface of the planet, and they basically are melting and then coming off, and then the comet's tail trails behind. So here we go. That's the old comet. We're getting the picture here of it's developing, and there we go. Now, we have not a fuzzball, but we have a classic comet with a nucleus there and a tail going off to the left. So we can zoom in just a little bit more. And this is a comet Faye, and it's got a nice, and you can see that it is moving through space because we took a 2-minute exposure. We're tracking, the telescope is tracking on the nucleus of the comet. So the stars move, comet doesn't. This is how I can take a long exposure picture of a comet. You track on the comet. And so the stars will be little streaks. And so if I take a 5-minute exposure, these streaks would be like triple as long. These stars would be streaky, but the comet would be nice and sharp. Well, comets are never sharp. They are kind of a fuzzy objects. But you can see a nice tail kind of going off to the left. And if you took a picture and you use Photoshop, you can emphasize the tail. You can darken the background. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here is darken the background a little bit there. But that's Comet Faye, and that's Comet 4P. And so I didn't realize, I'd never even heard of this comet before, but it is on a quick 7-year journey round and round. So that is our second comet is Faye. And so our third one is L3. So L3 is a more recent comet. And so I'm now going to copy its orbital elements. That's just a fancy word for its coordinates. And it tells the telescope this is how to point. And this is how to track. This is where the comet is. And this is where it's moving. So now we will show you where it is. And we're moving we're in the same part of the sky, but right now we are looking straight overhead. That little red X here means it's straight overhead. And so this is L3. So we'll hit go on taking a picture, zoom out, and we'll talk a bit about L3 now. L3 was discovered in 2019. And so it is a relatively recent comet. Oh, I want to tell you that I got these cool animations or stills of where the comet is in the solar system. And it's put out by a young man in the Netherlands. And it's astrovanbuiten.nl. And so I want to, I'm sorry, you can't see it on screen. But anyhow, Van Buitenen. All you got to do is Google Astro Van Buitenen. And it's VANBUIT. Just Google Van Butte, BUIT, and Astro or Comets or whatever. And he has published some wonderful animations and graphics to show you where all these comets are. And this comet is a little different, as you can see. There's the plane of our solar system, and all the planets going round and round, and the Earth right there, and the sun right there. This comet is whipping up from above and coming down, and right now it's close to our solar system's plane, and it's going to be in a few weeks going below and further, and then it's gone. And it is I believe it is a periodic, but thousands of years probably. It goes way out and won't be back for a long time. And I wanted to tell you that Atlas is a Earth defense telescope. Planetary defense. These it's a pair of telescopes, 100 miles apart. They're in the Hawaiian Islands, like on top of Haleakala and Mauna Loa, I believe, in the Big Island. And they're identical. And these two comets are taking pictures of the sky every night, and they're looking for space rocks that are hurtling towards us and going to kill us all. Just like a Bruce Willis movie, right? But these, this is not a joke. These telescopes exist so we can see space rocks and comets coming straight at us that we better watch out for, or just get our affairs in order because there's nothing we can do. Or, as you know, that NASA is going to do a mission soon to put a probe up there and hit a space rock to see if it can divert it enough to save everybody on our planet. They're actually going to do that. So this is Comet Atlas L3. And so it's very cool, very cool. And this one goes out in its little orbit pretty far out. I think it goes out to Jupiter and back. But from this picture, you can't see that. You just think, oh, the red line's going to go out to infinity. Well, it doesn't go that far. So this is another one of those periodic comets. And here is our shot. Oh, another interesting thing is there's another, before we get into the comet, look at the other cool things going on in this picture. You see a streak right here. This could be one of Elon Musk's satellites, the Starlink satellites. Unfortunately, they're everywhere. Every time I take a picture, there's some. There is a bunch of little galaxies there. Look at that. Of course, right there. A whole swarm of galaxies that we're seeing in this picture, right there. And if somebody wants to use Sky Safari, they can tell us or type in what we're looking at here, because I didn't do that ahead of time. So it's interesting that what we're seeing here is very close. Okay, the Starlink is real close. All right, and the comet is pretty close. The stars, far. The galaxies, very, very far. So we're seeing things in a very distance. They all look the same, but they don't. They're in very different distances from us. So let's now look at L3. We've got a very nice coma right here. That's called the glow around the comet is the sublimated ice whips into space, warmed by the sun. We've got a very nice nucleus there, and you can see that the tail is going off to the lower left, which means the comet is moving to the upper right. So that's a beautiful comet, L3. And so that one is really cool. And so now I'm going to go to our next one, and I'm going to copy the orbital elements or the coordinates for our next one. I copy them, and I come over here, and I paste them. I'm sorry to bore you with this, but and again, we are in the same area of the sky. Look at this is our fourth comet, and it's everything we've been looking at is all in the same part of the sky. It is the most amazing thing that we have this swarm of comets near Earth, and they're all in the same part of the sky. I don't know if does it portend some horrible thing. Are comets scary? 100 years ago, 200 years ago, comets were scary. A few hundred years ago, they were things that people would be afraid about because they were unpredicted. And when things happen in the sky and they're not predicted, scary things are going to happen. And so comets have this mythology of being very scary things. Let's go full frame on this previous Comet L3 just to show you what the whole frame of the Canon camera shows. This is a Canon camera. It's a 5D Mark III. And there you go. this is the whole frame, and you can see it's a 1 degree by 1.5 degree, and we've got some stars. We have interesting to see different star colors, stars that are mostly white here, and then we have a very nice orangey red giant over. Sorry, it's off. Yeah, you can still see it. And then we have the comet there, and we have the streak. And oh, look at this. This is not a Starlink because it's changing. You see the streak there? The streak is varying. So this could be just a rocket booster, a long tube, and it's tumbling. And when satellites tumble, they change in their brightness. And so this thing is changing in brightness as it goes by. So we know that that was not a Starlink. So let's talk about this comet that we're now looking at. And the one we're going to look at right now is 67P, and this is kind of a superstar. 67P was discovered by 2 Russian astronomers, Churyumov, Gerasimenko, 2 of them. And this is a superstar because we went there. Humans visited this comet. It was the first time humans have ever visited any comet. And we found out that it is shaped like a rubber ducky. This is, I believe, an artist rendition of the comet, but we know from radar that it is in this shape, 2 lobes, and it's 2 sticky, soft snowballs that are stuck together. And when we landed on this comet, we couldn't hold on. The probe went down, shot its harpoons, and they did not stick. And it bounced around, and then it was stuck in the middle, right here in the shady spot. So we didn't land in the best spot to be able to do science, but we got pictures and we did some work, and that's pretty exciting. So, and this is a very good representation of the comet. It's basically a dirty, icy snowball, but when it gets close to the sun, we have these spray patterns, these little mini volcanoes that spray out the ice as it gets warm by the sun, and they'll tumble too, and these spray patterns will cause the tumbling. So this is a cool one. It's 67P, and it was visited by the Rosetta probe, and it's about 2 miles, in 2 miles this way, 1 mile this way. So we wouldn't want to be hit by it, okay, because it's rather large. So that is 67P, and Churyumov, Gerasimenko, and it was discovered in the 60s, I think 64, and there it is. Now we are getting better because now we're getting green, and the green is, I believe, carbon and nitrogen, cyanogen, and when that starts to sublimate, because carbon is different than water, water is just H2O, and CO2 is the other ice. Well, those ices, they come off early, and that's the white stuff. But when the carbon and nitrogens, they start to evaporate, it creates this beautiful green glow around it. And that's, I always get excited about that. And definitely a long tail there. And so 67P is putting on quite a show right now. And now that streak there is definitely an Elon Musk satellite. Yeah, that looks like a Starlink. But this is a spectacular comet because it's got a tail. And in my book, you ain't a comet unless you got a tail. I don't get excited. I will not get up early, set my alarm to see you unless you got a tail. So this one meets that criteria. So now I'm going to take a zoom out, a full frame picture of this. Like I said, this is a 2-minute exposure. We're at ISO 1600, and we've got a nice satellite whipping through there, which is normal. But this is a nice comet. And if you looked at my Instagram, I was able to get a nice shot of this with no stars earlier last week. And hopefully I'll get another one. And the way I get a good picture is we take a lot of pictures and stack them together. So that's how I get a good shot, stack them together. All right, so and about now out in the desert, the sun is approaching the horizon. It's still dark, but it is starting to get light. So we'll, in a minute, go for the last comet. But what is great about this shot is you can see several distant galaxies in this picture right there. One there, and one here. And these galaxies there are, of course, millions, probably 100 million light years away. So the light left there 100 million years ago, which is mind-blowing. And these are probably the 15th, 16th magnitude. So you can see in just a 2-minute exposure, we're getting down to 16th magnitude, very likely. All right, ready for the final comet of the show. And it is called A1. Just like the steak sauce, A1 steak sauce. I haven't had any of that for a long time. I guess it's not that good, but I certainly had a lot when I was younger. So now we're showing A1, and it is coming up in the east. That's why we left it for last. We're heading towards the eastern sky. I have a wall on the observatory on the east side, so the comet only cleared the wall just an hour ago. So that's why we saved it for last, because it's just coming up. But it is probably the most exciting of all of our comets. And it's going to be, I'll tell you the story of it. I want to check. Okay. Hopefully the roof is not closing, because I just heard a noise. Hopefully the roof is not closing. If the roof is closing, we may not get a picture. But we'll see. But this is Comet Leonard. And Comet Leonard is exciting because this one might be visible to our naked eye. This one is getting so bright we might see it in binoculars, wherever you are. So keep a lookout for it. And as you can see, it's coming from above and coming down into the plane and close to Earth, and then whipping back out. And this comet is so wild, it's going to be whipping back out and it will never return. Its approach to the sun this time is coming so close that it's going to gain that energy and get whipped and catapulted back out into space. And this was only discovered in January by an astronomer named Leonard at the Mount Lemmon Observatory in Arizona, which is very close to where this observatory is, and you're this taking the picture right now. So that's very cool. So Comet Leonard is going to be the best comet of the year. Oh, now you can see the website to go to, astro.vanbuitenen.nl. Okay, Van Buitenen. Highly recommend. His website is spectacular. If you care about comets or anything going on in the sky, when stuff happens, you go to his website, you find out what, when, why, how. And so highly recommend it. This is Comet Leonard. We've got another 4 seconds before this thing develops. And so this is going to be a picture of Comet Leonard. I'm going to reposition to the center of the frame. And like I said, this one might be visible to the naked eye in December. So December is the time to see this comet. It will only be December. In January, it fades out and it's gone. And as you can see, the sky is brightening. The background is a little bit brighter for this picture. And so let me see if we can adjust. I'll use the histogram function here and this to zoom to darken. Yeah, okay, we're darkening a bit. There's a nice galaxy right there at the top of this picture. But the sky, the eastern sky is brightening. The sun is starting to come up there in the desert. And so that's why we're getting so much background light there in this picture. But we've got a nice picture of the, we'll zoom in on the nucleus. Beautiful green color, which means it's close. Green means it's really getting hot. And that comet is starting to ignite, in a word. And since this is our last one, I can really go crazy on the zooming in. And it's got a nice tail, and that tail will be getting longer and brighter, and the nucleus will be getting brighter here over the next few nights, weeks. We've got about 6 weeks to watch this one, and then it'll be gone. So I highly recommend you get out there. It's going to be in the morning sky right now, and so for the next few weeks, morning sky, but then it'll shift into the evening sky in the middle of December. And if you can go to that Van Buitenen website, she'll show you how to find it. I think you're going to be seeing a lot about it. I think you're going to be hearing a lot about it on Facebook and other places. And one thing they have that Van Buitenen puts together is a light curve, and this is how bright it is. So this is January of this year when it was discovered, and this is January of next year. So right now we are here in November, and each dot here is an observation. These were professionals, semi-professionals have made a very careful estimate of how bright this comet is. And as you can see, as it gets closer, it gets brighter, 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 brighter. And binocular right here is about your binocular needs to be bright enough for binoculars right here. And the naked eye, if it gets up there, we'll be able to see it with our naked eye. And green means optimistic. Some models say, hey, wow, this thing is going to get up to magnitude 1, which would be easy to the naked eye. But it's going to be close to the sun, so it really we need to see this green thing happen in order to have a spectacular show. If it stays on the red line, it'll be, oh, okay, it was pretty good. We saw it in binoculars, but if it really explodes in the green, we have to hope for that. So that's Comet A1 Leonard, and be on the lookout for that because you're going to be hearing a lot about it in the month of December. But even in November, you can get out there and see it. If it's clear, which is unusual in the Midwest here in the November time, you can get out there before dawn and take a look at it. I highly recommend it. And so it is 7:30 now, and I said it would only be half an hour. I'm going to stick around if people have got questions because right now in the desert it's getting bright. And we're pretty much done with our picture taking. Maybe we'll take one other picture of something that is bright. Right there, the second star in the handle of the dipper. We're looking at the second star in the handle of the dipper, and we're going to just take a 2-second exposure of the second star in the handle of the dipper. It's called Mizar. And if we just take, and there's something unusual about the second star in the handle of the Big Dipper, and you're going to see it in a second. It's a double. There's 2 right there. So it's a double star, and it's very cool. So I highly recommend folks, if you get out on a clear night, look at the second star in the handle. If you got good eyes, you'll see that it's a double. And if you have binoculars, you'll easily see that. So I highly recommend people do that. And I might finish up with maybe talking to folks about how did I get to this point? And no, more important than that is this right here reminds me that we have a lunar eclipse coming up. When is that lunar eclipse coming up? It is this Friday. So I want to tell, I might do another show. I don't know, because that one's in the middle of the night. So that would involve basically staying up most all night. But lunar eclipse this Friday. Hopefully it'll be clear where you are, and I want you to get out there. I know that in the desert it's going to be in the middle of the night, basically 1, 2, 3 a.m. The moon will turn blood red, and we'll have a total lunar eclipse. So please pay attention for Friday night. I might put on a show. I'm not sure about that, but it's going to be an opportunity. But just wanted to let you know about that. And on the 13th is the Geminid meteor shower, and this is a Geminid meteor picture I took for a few years back. So pay attention to that. Also pay attention to any aurora that are being predicted. We are in a good season, a good time of the sun being putting on an aurora show. So please pay attention for that. And so that's the end of my show. And I want to thank everybody for paying attention. And stay tuned. If something else happens, I'll put out an alert and I'll do another live show. So I want to thank you to everybody to paying attention, and have a good day.